Wonderful. Okay, so welcome to the Alive October, October, the October Alive Academy, where we have our really special guest volunteer from Volunteer Match and Idealist talking about what the merger means for volunteer recruitment and volunteer managers, featuring Jennifer Bennett. I have a couple of housekeeping notes and little announcements for us to kind of get started and to let people trickle in. Um, so just getting everything ready. This session will be recorded, and we definitely have a commitment to community where we're embracing and supporting members of all backgrounds, identities, abilities, orientations, religions, ages, citizenship, and lived experience. You can find this Alive Academy along with all the other ones that we have that are recorded on the Alive member portal. We encourage you to use the chat to ask questions as something comes up, and to also share ideas. I'll be monitoring the chat for questions. So if you have them, just drop them in the chat and I will bring them to Jennifer. Everybody is on mute, and we just thank you so much for your participation. This Alive Academy is sponsored by Better Impact, and we're so grateful for their partnership and helping to bring these to light. The Volunteer Management Hybrid Conference, if you have not registered yet, it is next week. I can't believe it's already here. And it's Show Them the Money. It's learning how to translate intangible value into tangible value and dollars for executive leadership, for them to really understand the power and the impact of the strategic engagement in your volunteer in your organizations. These are our speakers, dynamic, amazing, phenomenal speakers. It is not too late to register. So if you haven't quite yet, you can find it on the Alive website. And International Volunteer Managers Day is November 5th. And the theme is Be Bold, Make Change. And Alive is hosting a virtual brunch with Melissa Rhodes Carter from the Walmart Foundation. And she is going to be talking to executive leaders of why they should invest and really bring volunteer engagement to the forefront. So we're telling people to be bold and invite your executive directors, invite your boss, invite senior management, anybody who you think needs to hear this message. And the second half of it is going to be just a lot of celebration of volunteer managers for all the work that you do. So we hope to see you on November 5th. That's also on the Alive website, and you can register there. And last but not least, if you haven't heard, our National Summit is coming up March 18th through 20th in Sacramento, California. So it's our first in-person volunteer engagement conference. So we hope you can join us there. Go to our store, be bold, make change. You can get gear to support Alive. And I think, okay, there it is. Now I want to introduce to you Jennifer Bennett. She joined Idealist in February of 2025. And she is, hold on, sorry. All my boxes are in it. This is what happens when you work off of one screen and you're used to having three. Sorry. Okay. Bringing many, many years of experience leading Volunteer Match. She is the brains and the magic maker behind Volunteer Match. And so she continues to design tools, trainings, and resources that help the combined Idealist and Volunteer Match community strengthen volunteer recruitment and engagement. She's a strong believer in the importance of engaging volunteers in meaningful work and has been a CVA since 2010. Well, congratulations on that. And with further ado, I am going to turn it over to Jennifer.
Thanks, Nicole. Hi, everybody. I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to share my screen. I have a Menti, oh, I have so many windows. To Nicole's point, that whole also having just one, or I have two monitors, but sometimes there's never enough room, right? All right, let me share my slide. So today I am going to just do a quick walkthrough. I know we're a small group, so I have some mentee polls, but we can also sort of feel free to put things in the chat or, if you want to come off mute and ask questions. We're going to talk a little bit about what has happened since Volunteer Match became part of Idealist in February. So on February 1st, I stopped being an employee of Volunteer Match and I became an employee of Idealist. And then right after Labor Day, September 8th-ish, that weekend after Labor Day, we integrated the platforms, meaning Volunteer Match platform that had been there for decades is now pointing to Idealist, and all of your Volunteer Match account information was migrated to Idealist. So we're going to talk a little bit about sort of where we are. I am happy to hear from all of you and take information and your thoughts and ideas back to the decision-making team at Idealist. I know it hasn't been 100% easy. I know there have been some bumps for some people, but I also want to, we'll talk about that first, sort of finding opportunity posting your opportunities on Idealist. I'm not going to get too technical today, but I'm always happy to set up one-on-one time to talk, thinking about how to recruit on Idealist. And then I want to share with you what else Idealist has. And some of you might be familiar with the nonprofit career development resources and tools, job search. And so we'll talk a little bit about all of that as well as end today with if you do need help with your account or getting set up or anything like that, I'm happy to do that as well. So we're in Mentee. I'm going to put the code and the link here. If you haven't used Mentee before, you can stay in the Mentee window. You can either join from a browser or from oops, I sent that just to me and Nicole. Right. And if you want to join in your browser, you can also go to mentee.com and I'll put the code in here. 63705472 if you want to go to mentee.com and join that way. Don't close out the Zoom window. You can ask questions there, and also that's where the sound is coming from, but you can stay in the Mentee window. The slides will come with us, but when we do take a look at the site, you'll want to come back to Zoom to see that. So awesome. So we have a both and some neithers. I know, again, we're sort of a smaller group here. I see people joining us, so I will give us a few more seconds here to go ahead and vote. All right. As Nicole mentioned, I had been at Volunteer Match for almost 18 years when the merger happened, and my role right now is still pretty similar. So I'm still doing the sort of the webinars, and the Learning Center has a new name and a new look, and we'll take a look at that as well. All right. So it looks like we've got a split, mostly Volunteer Match and then neither. So welcome, and then both. So my next question, and I'll take this QR code down for right now so we can see. For those of you who were using Volunteer Match before and have come over to Idealist, if you want to share, if you've done any of these activities, logging in, finding your dashboard, upgrading a migrated opportunity, or posting a new opportunity, if you've reached out to support. And I know we only had a couple of you that were, some of you haven't done any of this yet, so that's okay as well. I will leave this up for another couple seconds. All right. And then again, I know we're a small group, so if you want to come off mute and share this, we'll take a look at Actually, let's go ahead. I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to go and let's take a look at Idealist first, since we've got a smaller group here. So I'm going to go and share just the Idealist homepage. Let me make sure we're all here. There we go. So this is volunteer or this is the Idealist homepage, and everyone who's going to volunteermatch.org is getting redirected here. And we're going to I'll show you just a quick overview. I am logged in in my demonstration account, so it shows me here. If you have logged in, you might have played around, you might have had to reset your password and find all of your information. And this is where you would find your organization's account, your dashboard. So I have my demonstration account, I have the migrated VolunteerMatch account. So if we go in here and take a look, this is where all of your opportunities have been brought over from Volunteer Match. There are some similar functionalities. There's some functionality that sounds the same that's different, and there's some different functionalities. So I don't want to go into this too much since we are a smaller group, but I'm happy to answer questions and sort of go through where you can find some of your things. So one of the things I think that's important to think about is how your opportunities show up on Idealist, and we'll take a look at how volunteers find you in just a second. But this is your dashboard. This is where you can see some opportunities. You can see I've been demoing and reposting opportunities. And what reposts do on Idealist, which is different from Volunteer Match, is sort of creates a copy and puts that new copy up at the top of search results. So it's great for expired opportunities. It's great for those opportunities that maybe you want to reactivate. And we are working on a tool to do what Volunteer Matches reposted, which is just keep that same opportunity and bring it up to the top. So you can see we've got some duplicates here. And that's because when I repost, it will create a duplicate where I can go in and make any updates if I need to, but it will show sort of as a new separate opportunity. So that is different from Volunteer Match. I need to, because this is primarily a job posting site, I need to check that I am sort of following along with the sort of laws for hiring with organizations that are allowed to engage volunteers, charities, and a few for-profit groups like hospitals and hospices. That is a sort of a legal that is something that we're legally allowed to do, so you can feel confident checking that. And so that will ask you each time because it is sort of in compliance with hiring laws. Now, we are working on some changes as far as what you will see if you're posting volunteer opportunities, terminology, things like that. But here you can see um, let me make sure that came along. Yes, so this is that reposted opportunity. I'm going to, let's see. I am going to open up actually an incognito window so you can see what it looks like if a volunteer were to come and end up at Idealist from Volunteer Match. You know what, let's actually type in volunteermatch.org and we can see what happens when when if somebody comes. So it's a seamless redirect. It says Volunteer Match is now part of Idealist, and you can still do that same search. So if I want to do a search For me here, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. Maybe I just want to see what's out there for volunteer opportunities as a prospective volunteer. Oops, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to start sharing again uh, in my incognito window, which I have. Here we go. Um, all right. This is, if some of you have been with me with this transition to Zoom, it's a little bit different. But let's go back to the homepage. You can see I'm logged out. I'm in an incognito window. This is what a volunteer who went to volunteermatch.org typed in would show up here. They can do that same volunteer search that they did on VolunteerMatch. They have many of the same filters and a few, oops, I'm searching jobs, and a few different opportunities as well, or different filter opportunities as well. So here we are, San Francisco Bay Area, on-site, meaning in person, remote, which was what Volunteer Match called virtual, and then Idealist also has a hybrid. So if you need someone to be in your area, but they don't have to do all the work in your facility or at your site, you can select hybrid. All of those cause areas. There are some that are slightly different than Volunteer Match, but sort of many, if not exactly the same, big buckets. We had community. That's been, we have both community development and civic engagement, which I believe many of the community cause areas were migrated to community development. So you can go in and change those through your dashboard if you feel like yours might need a little bit of an update. Our computers and our engineers did the best that they could to sort of bring those over. But if you really feel like it's maybe civic engagement instead of community development, you can make those changes. All of those good for boxes that we had on Volunteer Match have come over as well. So you can find those opportunities that are good for families, or if you're looking to recruit for groups, either public groups or private corporate groups. We now have international volunteers because Idealist is not just in English, it's available in Spanish and Portuguese as well. The done in the day opportunities have come over. Idealist is also pulling in opportunities from other places. So Points of Light, AARP. So we have also, with some of the transitions that have happened in the federal government, volunteer.gov is not currently pulling in opportunities, but I know that there have been some conversations about trying to get that hooked back up again. Searching by date, and then additional filters as well, like skills, listing language, and sort of some of those other pieces as well. So on Volunteer Match, we had those. Oh, here you can see my demonstration. Opportunity has shown up, which I'm going to remember to take down. But you can see how it works similar to repost on Volunteer Match. It's brought it up to the top of search results. But when we go back and look at the dashboard, it has sort of created a new, like a copy of that existing original opportunity. On Volunteer Match, we had the title showing up and we had the first couple of sentences of your opportunity showing up. Here we have a photo. If you have a photo for your opportunity, it will pull that in. If you don't have a photo for your opportunity, it will pull from your organization profile picture. So that could be your logo, but that's something to think about. It's small-ish, so we want to make sure those pictures are pretty robust, meaning that it's not like a crowd shot or something, that it looks clear. I like this one with the decorated Christmas tree. And you will see some of those details. Those are the first things that volunteers will see, and then they will decide if they want to learn more. If you are using what used to be called multi-zip on Volunteer Match, that will now show up as a featured opportunity on Idealist as well. So I know that it is not as flexible as Volunteer Match's multi-zip. That is something that's being worked on. Idealist had sort of a different set of criteria for promoting listings or featuring listings, but our engineering and product team are thinking about how we might be able to provide more flexible options similar to those on Volunteer Match. Again, here's that demonstration account. And one of the other things I want to highlight here, and this is not to call out Big Brothers, Big Sisters of the Bay Area, but on Volunteer Match, we would nest your opportunities, meaning if you reposted or posted a whole bunch of opportunities all at the same time, we would show one in search results, the one that was most relevant to what the volunteer had put in for search criteria. And then the other ones would say, like, see whatever, 12 more opportunities for this organization. Idealist does not have that. So we just want to be thoughtful when we're reposting or posting our opportunities to not sort of overwhelm a volunteer or feel like it's spam. So I do appreciate that there are a couple of different opportunity titles, but when we post things that look the same except for the location, it can, we volunteers can feel, it's really sort of just optics, right? That volunteers are like, I don't want to do this. Why is this on here? So why are there so many of the exact same opportunities? So just something to think about. And again, Idealist is working on a solution that will sort of help volunteers find the opportunities that they're looking for. And I know we've had some concerns and some feedback to support that you're not getting as many volunteers as you used to on Volunteer Match. And we know that some of that might be because of the way search results are showing up. And so people feel like, I don't want to volunteer with this organization that's become the first 2 pages of search results. So I'm going to go somewhere else or I'm not going to volunteer. So just something to think about. And if they are different opportunities, here you can see ReCares has 2 really different opportunities. That's one thing, right? The volunteer might scroll down and say, oh, I'm not interested in doing that, but I'm interested in doing this one. But when we see those same titles showing up, especially when you've done a bunch of them in a row, it can feel a little bit, it comes across spammy. And again, we're going to try to fix that from our side. But in the meantime, thinking about when you're reposting or how you're posting your opportunities so that they show up in search results for volunteers in a way that is, that feels inviting and that people want to participate.
Hey, Jennifer, it's
Yeah,
Nicole. I have a quick question for
of
you.
course.
Um, to help with that, would it be, and I don't know, would it be helpful that like if it is the same position, but it's in different cities, like instead of it being the same, like maybe it's a picture of the city or something that like
Absolutely.
differentiates it so it doesn't give the impression that it's the exact same thing? Would that
Absolutely.
work?
Yeah, and if you are, if you're recruiting for school sites or different locations, this one looks like Oakland and Richmond, which are covered in the default search areas, search radius. And again, I don't want to pick on Big Brothers, Big Sisters of the Bay Area, but they just happen to show up in our search results. I might say, again, this is where you want your title to do a lot of work for you, right? So you might say support students in Richmond or support students in Oakland or volunteer at this neighborhood elementary school and say, volunteer at West Side Elementary School, help kids learn to read at this school or this neighborhood so that people scrolling realize that it's a different opportunity and it doesn't feel like someone's sort of made a mistake. So that's a really great question. And that's the kind of things that I want to share here today is sort of thinking about these search results, thinking about what you all can do to find the volunteers that you need with this transition and how the platform is working working a little bit differently than Volunteer Match did. So again, those first few sentences don't show up, so your title and any of your details are going to be the first thing that a volunteer decides. So let's go ahead and look at our demonstration opportunity. Depending upon how thorough I was when I created this, it may have a lot of information or it may not have very much information. Oh, good. It looks pretty filled out. I want to volunteer. This is a quick change that has happened since we went live in September. It used to say apply, which was very much for that paid work. That they have information from your when you post your opportunity about when volunteers can volunteer, how much time, if it's ongoing or one time. Volunteers needed. This is just a placeholder number. It is not connected to anything. It doesn't count down. Depending upon how you were using Volunteer Match, it may have been counting down on Volunteer Match. We don't have that on Idealist at this time. Again, cause areas, good for those search filters. My description is here. Again, we want to think about prioritizing the information that a volunteer needs to know to decide if this is a good opportunity for them, whether it's on site. And this is using the applicant tracker. So this is sort of a built-in volunteer screening portal for volunteers. You can also do what Volunteer Match called Direct Connect and send volunteers directly to your website or to an online application. If you're using Applicant Tracker, you can ask those custom questions that are either required or optional. And here's some, some generic ones that we've put on here. When I click Submit My Interest, I'm not logged in, so it will prompt me to create an account. And then that information will go into your dashboard. If you have customized that greeting, that email that goes out, that will go out automatically. Otherwise, a sort of a generic one will go out. And then you will have that volunteer in your dashboard. All right, I'm going to stop sharing this. We're going to go back to the slides.
And Jen, while you're doing that, a
Yeah,
really
of
good
course.
question came up.
Yeah.
So I'll read it off. Do you all have a partnership or are you working on it with Galaxy Digital? I know they recently obtained the POL platform Engage, which seems to have a partnership with Idealist and Volunteer Match. Many state service commissions use Galaxy Digital, and it would be great if all the platforms shared.
Yes. So yeah, we do have that integration with the Points of Light platform. I'm going to be completely transparent. I'm not sure where those conversations are. I know that Ami, our executive director, has had a couple of conversations about that. But that we have an API with the Points of Light platform, so they are being cross-posted. And actually, let's see if I go back here. When we go back to our search results, volunteer opportunities, and we take our source, you can see those opportunities that are showing up, and you can see how it shows up when I open it up. If I want to take a look, it will say that it has come from oh, you know what? Actually, that we've taken that down. You won't see the search or the source icon in the search results anymore because we are sort of limited in the way that those APIs are working. We have just a couple, so we have taken that off search results, but people can narrow them down. Oh no, it's still here. I'm sorry. Maybe because this one's featured. So you can see it says source Points of Light. So it would say source. Again, we have a integration with Golden. We have an integration with AARP, Points of Light, and have had other sources in the past, including Volunteer Match. So you may have had your Volunteer Match opportunities being pulled into Idealist prior to the merger as well. All right. Um, I'm going to stop sharing this. And then if Nicole, if there are other questions, let's see, I saw one just came in from Nathaniel. Um,
I can read it out.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
In an effort to not overwhelm volunteers with our posts from different sites that are integrated on Idealist, is there a way to automatically hide opportunities from sites such as Create the Good? I know you
Yeah.
can manually hide posts one by one.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and that's something so right now there isn't any way to sort of automatically dedupe if it's being pulled in from other places. You can manually go in. So you could hide the native one on Idealist, but there's no way to hide the Create the Good. And it's I want to be clear, it's not bad to have sort of very similar or even duplicate opportunities. It's just that when it shows up all in a row, we know that volunteers feel they feel a certain way about that when you've got 10 in a row that have all the same titles. So if you have one that's being pulled in from Create the Good, from Points of Light, or from another location, and a native idealist opportunity, and they're very similar or exactly the same, that's not the end of the world. You may want to play around with that and see what works. If there's one that's getting better search results, or with the native opportunity on Idealist, you do have that opportunity to repost, which again will sort of turn that old one off and create an exact copy of a new one and move it to the top of search results. So if you do want to promote something and have it show up more quickly or more regularly, that may make sense to just have that one that's being pulled in from Create the Good. That's a great question. Um, all right.
There's
Uh,
one more question.
yeah.
And this is actually coming from me. And I just have to let you know that I love all the changes and going on Idealist. It has just been phenomenal for us. We've used it anything, and I heard you say that some people aren't getting as many, but we've posted and we were inundated to the point
Oh,
where we had to like stop it. Like, okay, we had to. So it's been working phenomenal for us in our volunteer search. So I just wanted to at least just throw that out there to you. But the actual question is, when we were, because we're working on a pilot program for like an internship program or like a career development program. And when we tried to post it, we weren't able to because it said that an idealist, you cannot post an unpaid internship. So is there going to be any consideration for like nonprofit organizations, smaller nonprofit organizations where not in a position to really have a paid internship quite yet, but working towards that? But is there any consideration of that for nonprofit organizations in the future?
yeah, that's a great question, Nicole. So because Ideals was built as a job platform, right? A job search platform. It is in compliance with federal law and with the sort of stricter federal guidelines or requirements for internships. The fact that they would completely unpaid internships can be very tricky with the federal requirements of being a more benefit for the intern than the organization. And that's hard to police and manage from sort of a platform perspective. But as a nonprofit organization with unpaid internships, you can always post those as volunteer opportunities. So using skills-based volunteer language, and say, if there's language you want to use. And again, we're not policing the language that you're using either. So if you wanted to post it as an internship as a volunteer opportunity, you're welcome to do that. You just can't post it under the internship section because that does require at least a stipend. And we strenuously encourage that to meet minimum wage requirements in your location. So that is one workaround. But I will also say, Nicole, you're not the only person who's asked that question. So that has become part of our conversation within Idealist about how we are sort of navigating this transition. All right, I'm going to share my slides again. Let's see. All right. So now that you've had a little peek at sort of what, if you've had a chance to post or play around with it, and if you're newer to the platform, that is okay as well. But if there's something that's coming up or something that you know you'd like to see, I take this feedback directly back to our product and engineering team or our support team, and make sure that this information gets from you all to them. You're also welcome to put it in the chat or to come off mute if you'd like to ask sort of a more or advocate for something in a more detailed way.
Jennifer, I'm sitting here racking my brain to think about what it would be. Just every part of it that I've used so far has been so great. Um, so at this point, I don't know what would need to be created or updated because you could tell there was a lot of thought that has been put into it. Um, and so far our experience has just been phenomenal.
Integration with Galaxy
I
Digital.
like there's
Excellent.
that one.
I will I
That's a
will
good one.
find out, and yes, I will find out, and I will also I'm guessing yes, I'm guessing that might be Rebecca since she asked about that earlier. And Rebecca, if you want to reach out to me directly, I will find out and I can reply. I can send you an email. I will ask our team as soon as I get off. I will send somebody a Slack note and say, hey, what's the plan? Because I don't know off the top of my head, and I haven't been part of those conversations. But Bradley on my team is doing all of our API integrations, including those with organizations like Blackbot and Benevity and all of those CSR platforms, EVP platforms that Volunteer Match had relationships with. Those have all come over to Idealist. So that is all magically happening behind the scenes as well. All right, I'm gonna switch gears here a little bit, and just do a quick little recap of things to think about when recruiting. We talked about the title, so that title really doing a lot of work and thinking about images on Idealist because that's sort of your images worth pictures worth 1,000 words moment. Thinking about when when you're reposting opportunities or posting opportunities that they don't collapse. So to Nicole's point, and here, be thoughtful about creating really similar titles, using that opportunity to be a little bit more descriptive, and think about how that shows up in search results to prospective volunteers. But thinking about those filters and those details, because those will be the first thing that volunteers see. And I think my next slide after this is some of the additional tools and features. So I'm going to jump there. That things that we have already started working on. One of the concerns that came to light pretty quickly was the contact function on Volunteer Match, where you could send an email to just one person for each opportunity, and that person could be different for each opportunity. On Idealist, again, because it was built for a different sort of use case, while the act of getting applicants for paid work and getting applicants for volunteer work is very similar. It is also very different in some ways. So we had some organizations that were getting inundated. Everyone, their HR team and their hiring managers were getting all of these notifications when every time a volunteer would connect with an opportunity. So This is being built right now. I had an update to this morning in our staff meeting. That was something our product and engineering team jumped on as quickly as they could. And so that will be coming. I can never make promises because I don't really know engineers how long it takes them to build things, but it is coming. I can't give you an exact date, but know that it is top of the priority list and the functionality is currently being built. So it will be, hopefully they won't run into any bugs or trouble, and that will come out pretty quickly. We are continuing to update, and we have already updated some of that language in the post a volunteer opportunity and the volunteer applicant tracker. So replacing things like apply with I want to volunteer, making a resume or an attachment optional, and sort of the option to remove it altogether. Continuing to update that apply language with connect or express interest type language. We have already increased the skill slots from 5 to 10. So if you had opportunities on VolunteerMatch that had more than 5 skills identified, we had to cut that down to 5 when we brought it over to Idealist. But we have already doubled that. So you can go back in and add those additional skills. Export all functionality, which right now you can export all of your contacts for one opportunity at a time. So everyone who's connected with an opportunity, but it's opportunity by opportunity, that has happened. That is being worked on. It's not live yet. It is. Again, I heard about it this morning. I don't know exactly where they are in that, but that has been prioritized. It will most likely be a pro member tool. So if you were a pro member on VolunteerMatch, it's now called an Idealist membership. That I don't want to make promises all the way around, but what I'm hearing and what I believe will happen is that export all volunteer contacts will be an Idealist membership tool. So, all right. So I want to take the other side of sort of what we've been able to offer for with this merger is the opportunity to provide career development, job search, and support for those of us who work in the nonprofit sector. So if you want to come back into Mentee and get a sense, or if you want to put it in the chat, I know we're a small group. Sort of where are you in your volunteer engagement career? Are you just starting out? You're feeling comfortable with the work? You're more established? Those of us who've been around all of the blocks, been there and done that in our career. And we'll take a quick look at some of those tools and resources. But if there are things particularly that people want to see or are looking for, all right. So yeah, so we've got a more established group here. And the other thing I will say, if you are working with, if you have younger people or newer people on your team, there are a lot of really great sort of career resources for people starting out or thinking about being in the nonprofit space. And certainly, I know Alive, CCVA also have a lot of professional development resources, really focused on leading and engaging volunteers. Idealist is more general, just sort of general nonprofit. So if you are thinking about making that transition to leadership and an ED role or an director of operations role, if you are thinking about moving into fundraising, there are tools and resources for that as well. So yes, again, just sort of where are you? Happy in your current role, keeping your eyes open. I feel like that's always a good place to be actively looking for, oh, an option 4, which I forget what that was going to be. But actively looking for a new role. Excellent. Okay. So I know Nicole's been dropping some links in there. I want to show you what the Volunteer Match Learning Center has become. And I also want to show you the resources that Idealist has for those of you who are either actively searching or sort of keeping your eyes open, looking for some more professional development pieces. I am. I'm going to go back to, this is where I'm logged in as not not Idealist employee me, but just, oops. Oh no. Okay. Oh. Maybe let's see. Okay, if you ignore the the places where I can edit things, maybe rather than watching me log in, we will simply join me at regular Idealist. Regular Idealist. I don't know why I would get logged out in the middle. That's no good. Okay. Okay, so this doesn't look exactly like it would look like for you because I have some additional functionality because I am sort of able to update and change things. But I wanted to, this is just idealist.org. I wanted to show you where you can find the Learning Center. So if you click on or hover over or click on post on Idealist, you'll, oops, there, I'm gonna need that, move that. You can see volunteer engagement resources. So this is the new Learning Center. This is the Volunteer Engagement Resource Center. If you type in learn.volunteermatch.org, it will take you here automatically. So that is an easy way to find this. The direct URL is a little bit longer than just learn.volunteermatch.org. But here you can see a lot of the same things that we had on the Volunteer Match Learning Center. So the live webinars, links to sign up for upcoming webinars, watch the videos or download the resources for previous webinars. The resource library is many of the recorded webinars that we brought over from Volunteer Match. And just a little sneak peek, I will be doing refreshing many of those as we roll into 2026. Our Volunteering Redefined, which if you are engaging older adults in student success, this is a year-long initiative sponsored by AARP Foundation. So we are meeting monthly and doing some cool stuff there. And the Is Everyone Welcome Toolkit, which many of you are probably familiar with Faiza Van Zant from CCVA and the Adevi work that now lives here on the Idealist Volunteer Engagement Resource Center. So everything has come over. It looks a little bit different, but it is still here. You can jump down to those sections and take a look at things like the toolkit, download the toolkit, sign up for webinars, all of those things. So, oh, and if you are not on our newsletter, you can sign up for the Leaders of Volunteers newsletter, which we will be rebranding this week, probably next week. The next issue will come out, and it's going to be called Leading Together, and it will have all the same great content with a little bit of a different look and feel. All right, the other bunch of tools that I want to show you is for people looking for career support or job search. This is the job search field. So just like we can narrow down volunteer opportunities, you can narrow down what you're looking for in paid work, and by location type, if you want to be remote or fully remote or hybrid, search by or limit by salary, experience level, job type, cause area. If you've been following on the newsletter, I've been trying to include a handful of volunteer engagement type opportunities on the newsletter as well. And if you are looking for the career development, I know Nicole's dropped a couple of these in here, these direct links. I'm going to move my the toolbar always seems to be right in the way. If you are looking for career advice, again, to either pursue a nonprofit career or plan for the direction that you want to go in, that is all here. So there are some pretty awesome tools, including how to sort of go about doing some of these things. You can subscribe to our career advice newsletter, which is called Work in Progress. And it brings in, ideas, or sometimes there's themes, like if you're looking for a role in, to support the work being done to fight climate change. It's a pretty good newsletter as well. There's some blog articles, but there are also, I'm going to click on career planning. There are also some opportunities to take, like, online courses, and to really sort of think through a career development plan. So all of these are available here for free, and an opportunity to continue to build your career, or find that job, get some help and some resources for, as we talked about, career change, finding your passion. Idealist also runs a in-person grad school fair in New York City, and often does sort of virtual ones throughout the year. So if you are thinking about grad school, we have resources for that as well. All right, I'm going to share my slides again, and we'll just sort of sum up. And if there are other questions, let's see. To Nicole's point, it would be so much easier if I had there were other ways to see things. Here we go. Um, I am, that's this. All right. Going to share, all of those links are in the slide deck. I'm going to download these slides, and share them with Nicole so you can see the answers that we had. We skipped over some of the Menti questions. I know we're a smaller group today. The Volunteer Engagement Resource Center, Nonprofit Career Development and Work in Progress, the Salary Explorer, and Job Search. And then if you're looking for help and support, if you're having trouble or you need to figure something out, the help desk is, it's searchable tutorials and sort of how-tos. So if you want to update something, or you want to figure out how to replace your organization profile picture, the help desk is the place to find, right now, searchable help. If you have more technical questions, or if you're having trouble logging in, or you can't find something that you thought was on Volunteer Match, and think that maybe something got missed in the transition, our support team is available, either directly at support@idealist.org, or through the Contact Us form, which again, you can find that link, as well as the link to the help desk at the footer of the website. So scroll all the way to the bottom. And then if you want to sign up for the newsletter, you can do that on the Volunteer Engagement Resource page or Resource Center, or using that subscribe link, which again, we can, you'll have this in the slides. So I have just a couple of minutes. I know some things are coming in, or Nicole is adding more links in. Yes. Uh, Yes, Holly, I hear you. Holly asks, I did appreciate that Volunteer Match would include volunteer contact information in the automatic email notifying you. It meant I did not have to log into the web page to reach out to an interested volunteer. You are not the first person to ask that. That is also something that is being worked on, and that I believe will happen when we make the updates to how the automatic emails are triggered through the update to the contact tool, a feature. So yes, that is coming, and we really do appreciate your patience. I think it's always interesting. I mean, I feel when I was doing a couple of these sessions for the Idealist and Volunteer Match audience, I talked about, I've been shopping at the same grocery store like really since I was a kid, like coming with my mom to the grocery store. And then I moved home from college and moved into the same neighborhood. And so it was the same grocery store, a family run, family owned. Everything was set up the same way until the pandemic when it was acquired by a large grocery store chain and they moved everything around. And I still like, it's been, I don't know, probably 4 years. And I still like, I'm like, why isn't this the right aisle? Why am I not in the right place? So I know how it goes. And I appreciate everybody's patience. Nicole, was there another question that came in?
Nope, nope, no more questions.
Excellent. Well, this is my direct contact information, Jennifer at idealist.org. It's pretty easy to remember. Please feel free to reach out to me. You can also, I put the support email in here as well. If you want to reach out to them, if you're having trouble, I'm happy to stick around if there are other questions. And I'm going to be, this is a little bit of, again, a sneak peek. We're going to start off in 2026 with, in the Learning Center or the Volunteer Engagement Resource Center, with a series on sort of recruiting online and recruiting online with Idealist, where we will dig in to all of those pieces. So stay tuned for that. And again, if there's something that you think of or there's something you want to know about, please let me know, and I will find out about Galaxy Digital. And Rebecca, if you send me a note so that I have your email, I will send you the answers that I learn.
Jennifer, thank you so much for having us today. I saw in our I'm sorry, in the question and answer, there's something did come in, but they were just asking if we were going to send out the links in a follow-up email, and the answer to that is yes. Not only we can send them out, but also it's going to live on the member area. So if you go in and then you log in and you access this, all of the information will be there as well. But we could definitely send out the slides and the link to anybody who is a member. Jennifer, thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us. It was a small group, but small but mighty. And I think we've learned a lot, and we can definitely share that out. And Jennifer, thank you so much for your time as
Sure.
well, joining us. And this has sparked a lot of questions for me. So I'm going to be emailing you a whole bunch when we're done. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Everybody have a really great rest of your week, and we hope to see you soon on another a live webinar or in person or at the summit or anything. Hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.